The Fever had that one. The Fever had that game, man. They had it in the bag. They were in control. They had it. They had it. They had it. They just forgot how to play basketball.
Another video, and I'm telling you right now, there's a lot of people to blame for.
Indiana Fever fans are losing their minds tonight. The game was within reach. The Aces were stumbling. And yet, somehow, the Fever looked like they were unraveling from the inside. And every eye is turning straight at Stephanie White. Questionable rotations, crucial free throws missed, no steady point guard in sight. It's all stacking up fast. But is this simply poor coaching? Or is there something deeper going on? Here's what I'll ask you. Do you believe Stephanie White is deliberately holding this team back? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Let's rewind to the collapse, because that's the exact moment Fever fans felt their blood pressure explode.
They had the game won. They made 2 field goals in the fourth quarter, and they were both in garbage time. They went 9 minutes without a field goal. 9 minutes without a field goal, and shout out Lexi Hull for finally scoring one. Kelsey Mitchell took 26 shots for 0 assists.
This game wasn't slipping away. For most of the night, Indiana had it right there. They crashed the boards harder. They showed more hustle in bursts. And Vegas, they weren't even close to their sharpest. Aya Wilson was having what many are calling a flat-out off night. 13 points, 8 rebounds, 4 assists. That's nowhere near MVP form. Not even in the ballpark. And when the opposing superstar is staggering, that's the moment you strike. That's the moment you steal a win. But the Fever, yeah, they collapsed harder than Wilson's own flops on defense.
First team hasn't been exceptional in the playoffs. She was bad today. She was real bad today. Aerial Powers, look, I love her effort. Aerial Powers lost us that game. That is when the game ended. Like, there is 10 seconds to go in the third quarter, and Aaliyah Boston is standing wide open under the basket. Aerial Powers did not pass her the ball. And then Powers takes like 3-4 dribbles. Aaliyah's still wide open. And then eventually when she gets the ball to Aaliyah, it's a 3-second call. And then for some reason, Aerial Powers decides to front Jackie Young with 3 seconds to go, full court, and let Jackie Young run in a wide open layup. Suddenly, it goes from us being up 1 going into the fourth to down.
Here's the stat that cuts deepest. Indiana pulled down 39 rebounds, 16 of them on the offensive end. That's the kind of box score you expect from a team that finishes strong. Instead, they threw it away. Why? Because they shot 25 for 72 from the floor. That's 34%. Add in a miserable 7 for 23 from 3, and the outcome is obvious. You gift wrap the game, brick after brick. And the free throws don't even start. 13 for 21. That's 62%. This isn't high school. This isn't AAU. This is the WNBA. Free throws are supposed to be automatic. If you're a pro, free throws are your paycheck. You show up, you cash it, no excuses. But Kelsey Mitchell, she looked like the rim was a stranger. Miss after miss. And with every one, you could feel the air drain right out of the arena.
Close game late in the third, and then you guys really stalled on the offensive end. What did you see that they were doing or that you guys were not doing well enough to keep up and score in that stretch?
Yeah, I mean, I thought we got a lot of good shots. Didn't make a lot of them. You know, we missed some opportunities at the free throw line, and then we got a little stagnant. You know, we were still in a good spot because we were getting stops until about middle of the fourth, and they went on that run. But look, I thought our energy was good. I thought our competitive spirit was good. At the end of the day, you know, you just look at the field goal mix and the free throw mix, and you know, it's a different.
Now, let's talk about coaching, because fans are torching Stephanie White after this collapse. And truthfully, she earned it. Rotations were chaos. Natasha Howard gave them 5 points, 5 rebounds, and 0 energy. Yet somehow, She stayed out there like she was prime Candace Parker. Odyssey Sims looked lost, coughing up turnovers, hesitating, refusing to push pace. Did White yank her? Not a chance. She kept her on, letting Vegas build a run. Meanwhile, Lexi Hull was gutting it out, battling through pain, dropping a double-double, diving for every loose ball, playing like her leg didn't exist. Did White reward her? No. It was like the toughest player on the floor vanished in her coach's eyes. And that's when fans started screaming sabotage. Because when grinders get benched while ghosts get minutes, it doesn't look like strategy. It feels like someone tanking the vibe. Vegas didn't even dominate. They just accepted Indiana's gift. Jackie Young scored, 25. Chelsea Gray added her touches, but it wasn't a beatdown. It was Indiana smashing into their own wall. Both sides had 15 turnovers. On paper, that's even. But Indiana's came at brutal moments. Arena shaking, momentum-killing errors you could feel ripple through the crowd. That's not just players slipping. That's a team rudderless. And where does direction live? Coaching. That's where the conspiracy brews. Fans are whispering White doesn't even want Caitlin Clark back. Why? Because Clark rewrites everything. She forces the system to run through her, the ball to move differently, the offense to orbit her vision. And White, she doesn't want that. Think about it. Clark's injury timeline suggested she'd be back. We've seen others return from groin injuries in the same or shorter stretch. Yet the Fever keep her shelved. Not ready, still recovering, again and again. Fans aren't buying it. They're connecting dots. White has sold the front office a story that Indiana is smoother without Clark, freer when not revolving around her. Except here's reality. They're not smoother. They're not winning. They're falling apart while Clark watches. That hole, we play better without her. Myth crumbled the moment Vegas. On an off night, still won by double digits. Now look at Becky Hammon. She doesn't cage her stars. She doesn't clip wings. She lets Aya Wilson fight through mistakes while still holding everyone accountable. That balance, that's why Vegas wins. Stephanie White looks petrified of handing Clark the keys. She'd rather run her safe, role-player system. Predictable, comfortable, and doomed. This isn't just X's and O's, it's identity. Caitlin Clark is in year 2, not some rookie lost in headlights. She's the face of the league, whether veterans admit it or not. She's why seats sell, why ratings climb, why casuals care. And her own coach behaves like the Fever are stronger without her. That's not poor coaching. That's franchise suicide. And don't overlook the locker room ripple. Lexi Hull has become this team's warrior. Tough, selfless, relentless. Yet she's underused. Natasha Howard, invisible. Sims, directionless. Aerial Powers gave sparks in 11 minutes, yet never trusted with more. Kelsey Mitchell dropped 21, then disappeared when it mattered. That's not just on them. That's a coach blind to the right buttons. And here's the dagger. Fans believe Stephanie White has whispered this upstairs. If Caitlin returns now, we'll lose our rhythm, we'll crumble. And management, they bought it. They let Clark sit while Indiana implodes without her. That's not cautious. That's sabotage. Plain and simple.
Not gonna have 2 stinkers in a row. I feel like the Aces didn't even really play well tonight. They kind of handed the Fever that game, and the Fever kind of blew it, which makes me so sad. Obviously, you can never count out this Fever team because of what they accomplished, but now they have a very tough task if they want to make it to the finals. They have to win 1 game at home, and then they have to go back to Vegas and try to win a game 5 where it's both teams win or go home. And honestly, that's a super tough task going up a team like the Aces with a coach like Becky Hammon, a 2-time WNBA champion, who also coached in the NBA before coming to the WNBA. Like, it feels like she's already changed up the defense quite a bit, and it's really disrupted the Fever offense. It's just not looking good, and I feel like this was the game. This was the Fever's game. Asia had 3 points until the end of the third quarter. She's not going to do that again. Nalissa Smith and Jackie Young cooked them. A lot of missed free throws and a lot of missed layups.
Let's zoom in on the elephant in the room. Caitlin Clark's absence has ripped the mask off Stephanie White's so-called system. Without Clark, the Fever are just a team scrambling, praying Kelsey Mitchell can save them. And don't get it twisted, Mitchell has her moments. But when the Aces know she's the lone offensive weapon, it's target practice. Clamp her, force others to score, and suddenly Indiana looks like a G League squad pretending to be contenders. Clark's presence flips that script entirely. Defenses stretch out to the logo, chase her off-ball screens, and surrender driving lanes because they fear her limitless range. With her, everybody eats. Without her, you saw the chaos. Howard standing still, Sims firing passes into the bleachers, Boston shoved into awkward spots, Hull breaking her back for rebounds that lead nowhere. And here's where coaching truly matters. A sharp coach says, Clark is the system. She warps defenses. She controls pace. She makes the entire league react. You build around that. You embrace it. White, instead, seems fixated on proving she can win her way. And that fixation has turned Indiana into their own worst enemy. Now, look at how others treat stars. Becky Hammon lets Wilson be Wilson. Gino Orima at UConn handed Paige Buchers the keys from day one. Even Kim Mulkey, polarizing as she is, knew Angel Reese had to be the heartbeat at LSU. They don't minimize their best players. They elevate them. Stephanie White, she's acting like Clark is some optional luxury. A spark off the bench you keep hidden. It's absurd, and fans aren't blind. Social media erupted after the game. Fire Stephanie White trended across Indiana's WNBA circles. Clips of botched free throws got stitched beside, White staring helplessly on the sideline. Memes flooded in, showing her holding Clark back with captions like, "System first, wins second." Nobody's buying the excuses anymore. What cuts deeper is the timing. Clark's in year 2. This was supposed to be her leap year. The season she shed the rookie tag and stamped herself as the league's most dangerous guard. Instead, the headlines swirl around whether her coach is sabotaging her return. It sounds unthinkable. The WNBA has been searching for a true face of the league. Now, they finally have one, and somehow her own franchise can't figure out how to handle it. So let's peel back this so-called sabotage theory. The case goes like this. Stephanie White knows if Clark comes back and takes control, her coaching philosophy gets tossed aside. She'll be exposed as someone who struggles with stars, refuses to adapt, and can't engineer a modern offense. So instead of welcoming the obvious, she's allegedly persuaded management that Clark isn't ready. Keep her sidelined. Sell the team ball narrative. Protect her position. It sounds outrageous, but the clues stack up. Clark's recovery lined up perfectly with playoff time. Fans spotted her at shoot-arounds, taking jumpers, moving well. She wasn't hobbling in a boot. She wasn't bedridden. She looked near ready. And yet every official update echoed the same line. Progressing, but not ready. Convenient. Far too convenient. All the while, Indiana kept dropping games in predictable fashion. White's offense sputtered. Role players drifted. And Vegas didn't even need peak Wilson to knock them out. If you're ownership, you can't watch that and shrug. Yeah, this works. You watch it and demand, where is Caitlin Clark? And when the answer keeps circling back to the coach, fans start drawing their own connections. Now, some defenders of White will argue she's just cautious. She doesn't want to jeopardize Clark's long-term health. Fair point. Until you realize this is the playoffs. This is the stage everything builds toward. If your franchise star is cleared and begging to play, you let her play. Period. That's what real competitors do. And Clark, she's the fiercest competitor in the league. You honestly think she's sitting by choice? Please. She'd duct tape her own groin and hobble onto the court if she could. The truth is, White is pragmatic, risk-averse by nature. That fits when your roster is full of grinders, not when you've been handed a generational scorer who thrives in chaos. Clark's logo threes, her no-look dishes, her breakneck drives. None of it's safe. It's disruptive. It's game-changing. And it's exactly why defenses unravel against her. By holding her back, White isn't playing cautious. She's stripping away the very weapon that makes Indiana special. And that's why the backlash is deafening. Fans aren't blind. They know missed free throws cost the game. They know the Fever had chances and blew them. But they also know this. With Clark on the court, Vegas doesn't coast through a sloppy night. With Clark on the court, the Aces panic when their MVP falls flat. With Clark on the court, Indiana has a puncher's chance to win the series. Without her, they're cooked, which brings us to what's next. If the Fever flame out like this, Clark in street clothes as her team crumbles, ownership faces a choice. Double down on White's system and risk alienating the league's most valuable star? Or cut ties and hire a coach who knows how to maximize Clark before it's too late? History is clear. You side with the star. Coaches are replaceable. Generational talents are not. White might think she's safeguarding her system, but what she's really doing is signing her own pink slip. Because when Clark finally voices her frustration, and that day will come, the front office won't back the coach. They'll back the player who packs arenas and drives the league's ratings. And this isn't just Indiana's problem. The entire WNBA is watching. Rivals are circling, praying the Fever implode, so they can make a run at Clark down the line. That's how rare she is. You don't play games with that kind of asset.